Hello, and welcome to another installment of Spikemark Tech Tips. I'm Mike Wade, Director of Technical Services here at Creative Connors, and today we're going to be looking at the updates rolled out with Spikemark 3.7. As of today, it's actually 3.7.6. Remember, you can download your free copy of Spikemark. That's right, it's free at creativeconnors.com/download. In December, we rolled out Spikemark 3.7.0. Along with squashing several bugs with Stagehand FX inputs, long-running time link queues, inactive motors, and allowing decimal input into the position scale wizard, we also added a new Stagehand FX input action which turns on a given FX output. We also added a new hotkey, Control-Shift-T. This will attempt to reconnect to all stagehands on the network. The biggest new feature of Spikemark 3.7.0, the rollout of persistent position. This firmware update for all Stagehand Classics, Pros, and Apprentices now allows the stagehand to store the position data in the stagehand without the need for the backup battery. Anytime the stagehand is idle for more than 20 seconds, or if the e-stop is engaged, it will check its position, and if different from what is stored, it writes the new position to memory. This now means when you power up for your show call, all your stagehands will remember where they were when they were powered down. An important note, once you've updated your firmware to version 14 for the Classics, 23 for the Pro, or 42 for the Apprentice, your stagehands will only work correctly with Spikemark 3.7. They will not work correctly with Spikemark 3.6 or below. Additionally, if you update Spikemark, but not your stagehand firmware, you will encounter some strange positioning behavior. Spikemark 3.7.1 and .2 addressed bugs with FX output queues, and a bug which caused exponentially growing log entries when e-stopping a show with time links. What do I mean about the log entries? Imagine if you had 8 queues that were time linked. The first time you engaged the e-stop, 8 log entries would have registered. The second time, 16. And without much effort, we would quickly overwhelm the PC and Spikemark to the point of a crash. Spikemark 3.7.3 addressed an issue with multiple queue links, outside triggers, and go button queues from stepping on each other. Now all queue links and external triggers operate outside the go button mechanism. This allows Spikemark to run go button queues separately from links and triggers, meaning that a loaded queue will not be unloaded by a link or a trigger. With Spikemark 3.7.4, we introduced floating tool palettes. That's right, now you have the option to not only float the stage model, but also the stagehand properties and the on-screen queue controls. You can even have multiple stagehand property windows showing different info. Simply click on the window menu and select your floating palette, resize and move around as needed. This is particularly helpful if you're running a large show and have 2 monitors. With Spikemark 3.7.6, we updated the stagehand firmware to versions 15 for the Classic, 24 for the Pro, and 43 for the Apprentice. This firmware update increases the debounce time on limit switch detection to 70 milliseconds, up from 5 milliseconds, to reduce spurious limits faults. For those of you out there who have encountered the axis that turns green but doesn't move when you press the go button, this should help you. We also added an FX output disable via an FX input action. Pretty helpful for running shows. And that's it for today's Tech Tip. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions on our Spikemark updates or the new features, or if you have recommendations for a future Tech Tip, please email support@CreativeConnors.